Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for choosing our show. The discussion about Raila and Ruto's handshake is something that is not going to leave us any soon. It is going to grab headlines in the print media. Within street politics, people are discussing it. It has divided even the party itself in the middle. There are people who have got no power to change the decision that was made by the ODM party. If they had the power, they would have allowed the former governor of Mombasa, Ali Hassan Joho, the former governor of Kakamega, Wycliffe Oparanya, ODM chairman John Mbadi, and of course the minority leader Pio Ndai to get into government. Raila told us that the ODM party is still in Azimio. It is not part of the government. Edwin Sifuna, who is the Secretary General of ODM, said that those individuals who went into government went there in their own capacity, in their own individual capacities, but not as ODM. He still maintains that ODM is still independent, they are part of Azimio. If you ask me, and this is my personal opinion, there is no way two deputy party leaders, Wycliffe Oparanya Mbesa and Ali Hassan Joho, and ODM chairman and ODM chief whip, these are not ordinary people within the ODM. They form part of the topmost organ, that the decision-making organ. And I have a feeling that ODM is not being honest with us. They gave them the green light, and I believe it is Raila who selected and gave Ruto those four people. My worry, as I have said before, is that I don't have a problem with Raila getting into government, personally. Because Raila has got his own reasons of getting to government. The question that many are asking is this, and I'm afraid that we have lost the course. Many people are here lamenting about Raila has betrayed us, Raila has betrayed us. Kenya must move on, and if we want to change the political discourse in this country, we have to ensure that we move forward. If Gen Zs believe that they have been betrayed, they need to move on to perpetuate that discussion to see how they are going to be part and parcel of change. Because Gen Zs have said they are leaderless, they are partyless, and they are tribeless. In other words, they are not on the streets because of any political leader. And so, with Raila getting into government, must not be a reason to stop the fight. And if you ask me, instead of reading from the book of Lamentation, we need to see how to discuss, moving forward, what are people doing? Because if people stop, then it is going to prove that Gen Zs were working for someone. William Ruto and Raila Odinga has told us that it is by a whisker that William Ruto survived, that his deputy was plotting against his government. And that is why Raila is telling us that he came in to save William Ruto. Even though people are asking, you'd have allowed that man to sink because they chose themselves when you chose Martha Karua. And this is why I'm saying, if Gen Zs stop now, then it will be clear that they were being sponsored. Gen Zs must move on. But ladies and gentlemen, I want us to come back to the ODM party itself, because people are divided. There are those people who feel that Ruto should have been left to deal with his own problems. He said he had a plan. Others are saying that we could not allow the country to sink and get into the hands of Rigathi Gachagua. The other question that people are asking, if Ruto goes, because this is a question that has been asked, who takes over? Does Ruto go with the whole government? Are Gen Zs fighting Ruto as an individual so that when he exits, that office can be occupied by someone? Or is Gen Zs and Kenyans who are concerned fighting about the Kenya Kwanza government? That is a question that people are asking. But first of all, let us see Nuru Okanga and Omosh 1 hour one of the very staunch lieutenants of Raila Amolo Odinga, they read from different script concerning Raila's perceived handshake with William Samoei Ruto. Kindly take a look.
Almost Jakababa 1 hour. From today, no maandamano kitu ya kwanza. Hakuna maandamano. Hakuna. Hakuna maandamano kutoka leo. Sisi kama hatutaki. Ruto sasa ni mweupe kama pamba. Ukweli yenye iko. Bwana, point ni yangu. Hatukuwa tunataka William Samoei Ruto. Lakini kwa sahi baba amependa. Baba akipenda tumependa. Tuweze kudanganyana hapa. Ati Raila kienda maandamano, Raila ni mbaya. Raila kuwa anaenda maandamano, Raila ni mzuri. Akuwa kwa serikali, Raila ni mbaya. Tuko ndani. So,
wewe kama kijana uko na degree na uko na miaka 30 na uko hapa Jakaranda unapiga makofi atoparanya amepewa CS. You are stupid. Kuna vijana Mr. Speaker wamesoma na wanataka hizo nafasi. Hawa wazee wametengeneza pesa. Oparanya ni ndugu yangu. Amekuwa governor for 10 years. Amekuwa MP 15 years. Ni nini amekosa kwa nyumba yake? Na amekuwa minister. Kama ni pesa ako nayo, awachie wale watu wazazi walilipia watoto wao school fees na wameipita wapewe hizo ma-CS. Mimi sijapinga. But tunaangalia sisi kama vijana tutakuwa wapi na hii Kenya yetu. Kama kazi itakuwa inaenda kwa wazee na tunakuja hapa tunapiga makofi.
Now clearly, almost 1 hour, and Nuru Okanga don't read from the same script. And that is the nature of our democracy. But ladies and gentlemen, we cannot change the political discourse of this country if we keep on lamenting about who betrayed us. That is number one. You know, Raila Amolo Odinga is a senior citizen of this country. There are people who have supported him over the years. And you know what Raila has done. And I know that maybe right now, we feel that he has decided to end his legacy in that manner. A manner that people felt went against the wishes of the people, and they feel Raila betrayed them. But there's another group that feels that this is the best thing that Raila would have done, because when the country is in a crisis, Raila always comes in. Depending on how you look at it. My worry is we cannot keep on lamenting what is the way forward, because if we don't look at the way forward, this political class, Raila, Kalonzo, Uhuru, Ruto, Mudavadi, Wetangula, let me tell you one thing. Those people belong to the same class. Don't be cheated. Those people belong to the same class. And if you ask me, there are only two ways about it. If you feel, as Gen Zs and the people who support Gen Z, that Ruto cannot be ousted, if he cannot go home now, then the only other reason is waiting for 2027. I mean, this is the reality. Let us not just be playing populist politics. The truth is, either Ruto goes home now or he goes home in 2027. If you ask me, going home now is not very easy. And so, what about, because going home now would mean a revolution. But in this revolution, there have been mixed reactions. People are confused. We have seen goons getting into a very noble cause that was started by Gen Zs. And we've had accusations that some group of people, politicians and wealthy businessmen from Mount Kenya, are now infiltrating the Gen Z's demonstrations so that Ruto can go and they pick one of their own. Those are allegations that are there. And these allegations complicate matters, leaving some feeling that we are on the streets fighting for what we call is our democratic right. Yet some people are plotting a coup against William Ruto. So with all this, things are complicated. And that leaves us with only one thing, 2027. Ladies and gentlemen, you might not like this, but 2027 is the only viable chance. And why? That is the time when, if you ask me, we can kick out all this political class. Because if we leave them corruption is going to be perpetuated. No one will talk about corruption now that they are together. Corruption and wastage is going to be perpetuated. If we leave them to to be together again, the victims of post-election violence and police brutality will never get justice. I can assure you. Once Raila, Uhuru, all these people, they get together, Ruto, these people belong to the same class. No one, you and I will never get justice. If this continues, even Finance Bill 2025 is coming and they shall pass it. No one will ever talk about the cost of living if we leave them to go the way they are going. And so what must we do? Gen Zs must, because they had led this discourse, they have to be supported. And what must we do? People need to start a conversation among ourselves, those who don't belong to the political class. And I told you, Raila has got his democratic rights to get into government. He can speak to the followers, people, those who follow his political ideologies. And you cannot gag Raila, for example. The same way you have a right of saying, I don't want to get into the into government, he's got a right. I mean, the Constitution, protects all of us. And but the country must not stop. And we cannot stop a conversation, an idea whose time has come, just because you feel Raila has gotten into government. Let him get to government. Let them appoint who they want to appoint. But come 2027, we can have a resolution that we want to oster all of them. Gen Zs must have ID. They must ensure that apart from just all this noise that we're making, they must ensure that they take national IDs and they register as voters. And then ensure that they don't accept corrupt money during campaigns. Because we can make a lot of noise and then we find ourselves in a situation where we are being bribed so that we, instead of electing those whom we've been thinking will change this country, we elect the very, very people who are destroying the country. So once we have ID cards and we have registered, then we shun corruption. We don't take their money. Number two, we don't allow them to hoodwink us. Because what has ailed this country is that we allow the politicians to hoodwink us. They promise heaven. Remember what Ruto promised us. And when we talked about it, some people were accusing us. Now it is coming very clear. So they must shun all this hoodwinking so that they don't allow the politicians to cheat them. Number three, let them remain tribeless, because what the politicians will do is to divide us along party, tribal lines. Wewe ni Mkisi, wewe ni Mjaluo, wewe ni Mkikuyu, wewe ni Mluya, wewe ni Mcoast pale. And then we start looking at ourselves as we get to our political cocoons. Then we forget the bigger battle that we have. They must remain partyless so that the only party they have is that of Gen Z, is that of a group that are fighting for change. That is the only way. Because otherwise, when we keep on talking about Raila's betrayed us, so what? Yes, he has betrayed you if you feel so. But so what do? We sit down and say that now that he has betrayed you, the country cannot move forward. We are not going to talk about how we change, how to vote out all these leaders. We must be a people who take action. So if they remain tribeless, partyless, of course they cannot remain leaderless. That one, let us be serious about it. Because even in future, if they want to sit down and have someone who they want to be their flag bearer, they must have a leader. So they must. And they must ensure that they are not divided, so that as we get to 2027, they will all go there. You remember the election of 2002, when people voted against Kanu. That is the kind of election that we must have. And moving forward, how I wish that we start talking about how we can change, how we can vote out all these leaders. And you start from the Mashinani Pale. You are member of county assembly. If it's not working for you, you must change them. And if we feel that 2027 is very far, then we can recall them. My cry today is, I have seen people talking about betrayal, betrayal, betrayal. We cannot talk about betrayal forever. Yet let us agree, yes, he has betrayed you. If you feel so, and I want to add that, because there are people who feel that Raila has done the best thing. But if you feel he has betrayed you, what do you do now? Do you stop thinking? Does life stop? Do we stop breathing? We need to move forward as a nation. We need to move forward as a people who believe that this generation of the politicians, Mudavadi, Raila-Ruto, Uhuru, all these people, they belong to the same, then they need to be voted out. I don't know what you think, ladies and gentlemen, but let us have a discussion that is geared towards change, not lamentation. Sometimes you stop reading from the book of lamentation and you read from the book of hope. Because we are sounding hopeless just because Raila has given Ruto four members of the cabinet. I mean, Opio Andai, John Badi, Joe and Oparanya. Do you want to tell me that those 4 people can stop the country from moving forward, can stop you from voting out whom you want? I don't think so. And I'm pleading that we need to continue the discussion on how to change this country, on how to vote out William Ruto, vote him out with all the political class, so that we elect fresh blood that understands us. And that's my take.